Russia and director of WHD International Board. Now we move on to our next news. An Israeli airstrike on Monday struck a seaside cafe near Gaza City, killing at least 30 people and injuring dozens more, many of them women, children, and journalists. The strike hit Al-Baqa Cafe, one of the few remaining public spaces in the war-torn northern Gaza Strip, where people had gathered for brief relief from the heat and conflict. Eyewitnesses described scenes of carnage and chaos. The cafe was not only a rare recreational place, but also one of the last places in Gaza City with internet access. Here's what the Eyewitnesses has said.
فجأة سمعنا اللي انسمع وجينا نجري. فجأة لقينا نص شخصيات في البحر، ناس مرمية في البحر، أشلاء.
الناس بتيجي هنا بشكل عام، يعني إنه إحنا قاعدين هنا على بحر، فبتيجي بتغير جو، تقفل عن حالها، بيجوا بيلعبوا شدة، بيقعدوا على النت، بيشحنوا جوالاتهم، وهذا الأمر طبيعي.
Footage from the scenes shows plumes of black smoke, shattered glass, and mangled debris, evidence of the airstrike's destructive force. Israel resumed its military offensive on March 18, and since then, more than 6,200 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, according to health officials. That brings the total death toll since the war began in October 2023 to 56,531 people, with over 133,000 injured. Monday's strike adds to the growing list of attacks on civilian spaces and aid zones, drawing renewed international concerns over the escalating humanitarian crisis in the besieged enclave. Now we are joined by Joshua Barnes for this discussion. He's a correspondent at NewsX World. Joshua, what more can you tell us, and what's latest in the Gaza situation right now?
Yes, absolutely, Asuma. Well, the situation on the ground in Gaza is still a perilous one for the millions of people who are living there. Displacement following a resumption of military action following that brief but holding ceasefire, which did lead to a hostage exchange. The context on this, of course, the October 7th attack of 2023 carried out by Hamas saw the death of thousands of Israelis and hostages taken. A deal had been agreed between Hamas and Israel, but that broke down after the first phase, and following that, fighting has resumed in the enclave. I just want to clarify that this strike that has taken place on this seaside town and on this building is only confirmed by eyewitnesses and by medics on the ground. This hasn't been confirmed by other groups. It is, of course, difficult for journalists to get into the enclave. Access has been restricted, and the death tolls have come out from the Gaza local officials, but these are also questioned as well. I just wanted to clarify that. But the situation is difficult, and conversations have been had around finding a resolve. A US proposal by Steve Witkoff was looking at around a 60-day ceasefire. Further discussions then took place about the aid situation in Gaza, with many deaths now reported around aid facilities. But given the conflict that happened between Iran and Israel and the wider Middle East tensions, Gaza, on a geopolitical standpoint, was not the focus of attention. Now that that has calmed, further work towards a ceasefire is expected to continue. But for those living in the enclave, the situation remains dire. For Israelis, the situation remains dire as well. Hostages, around 50 now, still being held, dozens dead, some still believed to be alive. The situation is a difficult one for all parties involved, but the conflict continues.
Thank you, Joshua. You will stay with us as we move on to our next news. On the other hand, tempers flared at the United Nations Security